You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always are my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And Shannon G. and Mesa AZ.
And we'd like to welcome you to our podcast. Thanks for joining us this week. Make sure you jump into our YouTube channel, give us a like, a subscribe, and try to give us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. That always helps.
Good or bad.
Good or bad. Yeah, we would love to hear from you. And, make sure you share it. You can also go on our Facebook listeners group and check us out there. It's just a couple of guys talking about RC flying and the new products that come out, or we absolutely get, or our buddies that fly. And I will tell you that, it's funny, Jay and I have been discussing this, but, we have friends that have gotten into the RC world or that have been in the RC world before, and, they kind of do it for a little bit and fall out of it. And then, we start talking about it again. And my particular case, Scott Berryman, he and I have worked together at the same company for many, many years. He's flown RC in the past, got a bunch of 33%ers, 40%ers, gas stuff, and then he got into electrics, and now he's gone absolutely crazy. He's out of the field every day, and he's trying to get his turbine waiver. He's got, big airplanes, little airplanes. Now I have some of his over here. It's been a great, to watch him get more involved in the hobby. He's going out to his club on a regular basis. And we'll talk about it later in the show, but he actually wound up getting me this a Radix 3D flat foamy that you see in the background there. He has one like it, and he's been flying it pretty much daily and wanted me to kind of test out. So he wound up, because I helped him do some stuff, he wound up getting it for me and sent it over. But on Jay and I's conversation, we were talking about AK Mike as well, because AK Mike's been a part of the podcast. He was flying when, he'd come see me, he'd come fly, go see you fly. When you guys were in Alaska, you'd fly pretty often, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now he's kind of made a transition too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because he's been doing the paramotor stuff. That's been the bug that's been kind of bitten him, and over the course of being down there, he really didn't find a club or a place to fly, and pretty much he was only flying when he came down to see me or hang out for a weekend or a holiday or something, or when we'd come out for out to Arizona for the electric festival, right? So that would be it for the whole time of for the whole year that he would actually fly, and his skill, talent, whatever, kind of was waning, because then he would get a new model or he'd get something neat or something old, and he'd go out to fly expecting everything to be the same, and he was having great difficulty because he wasn't flying as much. And I guess we can even look back at all the planes or things that he'd been flying, and we'd go to maiden it, and we'd have great trouble or problems would come up, and I think he kind of got disillusioned at all of it. And I was wondering if I was thinking that maybe this this was it. He wasn't going to be flying anymore,
right?
And he had a great turnaround.
Well, he found a club closer to his house, first of all. Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he found a club that was a couple of miles away, 4 or 5 miles away, and I'm sure Shannon can attest to it, that people that come into the club and they kind of get a little camaraderie going around, and then they can be exposed to other people that are flying and see other airplanes, and people can help, or they can turn around and help. In Mike's case, he was helping some of the newer guys there, and that generates that excitement about getting back into it and helping someone. And so now you kind of look at it, they're helping those guys, and then, you look at your skill level, and then someone might be able to come help you, or you may be, in my particular case, when I joined my club, I was flying with very, very top-rated pilots. I mean, we have a couple of championship guys at our place, and, now I'm flying with them on a regular basis. And so your skill level does go up. And, you notice that, I think we mentioned that many podcasts ago, that, I flew all the time down here pretty much daily, and I came down to you and you were like, what happened? So, so I think I think it's advantageous to find something, because flying by yourself or having issues with your airplanes where nobody can really kind of help you with it is a little bit disheartening, I think.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, because when I got back in the hobby, I was just going out to a little park and I'd crash my plane. I'm like, oh, what did I do? And then I went and finally, talked with some people, and then I got in the GQF, and then eventually back to to Arizona Mile Aviators. But it's a huge benefit to have that support, and hopefully you find a club that wants new members. There was I'm going to be honest, there was a point where our club was kind of notorious for like, oh, unless you were friends with so and so, it was like a country club, and it was horrible. And that was one of the things that when I was president, I wanted to get rid of. I'm like, this has got to go. I mean, we need new members, and
Right.
I think over time it's really improved. We've had our ups and downs like any club, but we have a lot of new members the last couple of years, and one of our local hobby shops has been a huge factor of that. They bring people out on Sundays and get them introduced. We got new families. You guys met Wyatt and Scott
Right.
at AEF. They're great example. They're father and son out there having a good time. That's what this hobby is all about. So
Right.
yeah, having that support is huge. I'm
Right.
a big proponent of that.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. I mean, Mike has called me once or twice and told me, he's already helping guys out there, taking on a little bit of an instructor role, with some of the new guys. And,
It's awesome.
and he's, been flying his airplane, and actually been helping the guy fly his Timber and his Fun Cub and a bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of neat. He's been sending, hey, the landing gear came off my Fun Cub. What do I do? Or what would you suggest? And then Jay and I hop on the text, I do this, or this. And Shannon will,
Weld.
weld it. It's like weld the foam together. It was pretty funny. But it is exciting. I think, if you don't fly at a club, it's, I have to be honest, there are a long time I wasn't really a big proponent of joining a club, because I just thought, pay dues and, what's the difference? I can go fly at the park for free. And the guys at the park were great. I really should go out and fly with those guys some more. They meet every Tuesday still, but now that I have this, I might be able to kind of go out there. I've been flying turbines for, too long, and bigger airplanes. But now that I got something a little bit flatter, foamy, it's, something that I can go fly in the park. Maybe I'll go do that again and, just kind of say hey to the guys. It's kind of fun to go out.
And the other thing is, it's not just about flying. It's that camaraderie. Like you said, Michael's helping
agree.
people.
Mm-hmm.
We have too many members that they just want to come out and fly.
Right.
All they care is there's a runway. If there's a meeting, I'm not coming out.
Right.
I don't want to get involved in politics. Well, it's not even about the politics. It's about keeping this club and keeping that runway
Right.
and the facilities, up and running. It's we actually just lost a member this past week, longtime member, and that's how it's going, and we've got a lot of people that just, their time's to come, and we need new people to come in and fill those roles of supporting the club. And it doesn't mean you have to be an officer or anything, but just be there, be present, and not just fly and run off,
Right.
it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity to, share the hobby as well. If you have someone that is interested but has never done it. One of the guys that I know just contacted me and said, hey, I just bought, I heard that you were flying RC, and I flew it many, many years ago, but I decided, at the hobby shop, I swung by the hobby shop and I bought a plane, and I was really hoping that you would have an opportunity to go out with me. We need to schedule it so that I can, go out and see if I can get back into this. And I'm like, absolutely, anytime, and I've actually had 2 texts this week of guys that actually wound up getting new airplanes that want to go out to the club and fly. And so it's given me an opportunity to invite them, and, they come out and we get to look at their planes and, kind of go fly it. And if they have issues or whatever, we can kind of talk about it. And yeah, it's a great opportunity. It brings new people in, and then, they bring people in. And you're right. If we all just stay stagnant, eventually we get to the point where we're not participating, then the club dies. And we don't want to see that, because if the club dies, the hobby dies. And then, it's just guys out there, free willy, Yeah, just go wherever,
Yeah.
fly whatever.
Well, and which is getting harder and harder too.
Right, that's what I'm
Everything
saying.
that's going on. So
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned that about somebody bought an airplane. They want to get excited. My neighbor, they could see me, and they see all the planes in my garage.
Right.
And his daughter years ago, she went over to the hobby store and bought him like the Hobby Zone Cub, the one that comes with
Right.
everything in the box, ready to fly.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you can go out with Shannon next door and go fly, and he'll teach you how to fly it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, of course." I am not kidding you. That plane is still in the box in their living room.
Yeah.
And and it's just, it's not from, I've, hey, you want to go fly? Oh, one of these days. Yeah. I never asked her to buy that for me, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, it's kind of getting dated. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if the thing would even fly now because batteries are probably shot.
Right.
Who knows what? But it's just, I'm like, talk about missed opportunities. Like, come on, get out there. You probably have a good time, and he's a good guy. So it's just like, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Nope, not always. But
well, you guys just reminded me of a story when I was up in Alaska. And I just got into the hobby, right? So I'm looking at different planes. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. But for the most part, I was just doing scratch built things, right? I would just get blue core foam, make a plane, get some Hobby King motors, throw it on there, just get out there, wreck it, build another one, that kind of thing. So I'm in the hobby store. There was a couple of, I think 2 hobby stores in Anchorage. So I'm at the mall, and I'm at that hobby store, and I walk in the place, and I'm looking around, and this guy behind the counter sees me and says, "Oh, can I help you?" And I go, "No, I'm just looking for this or that." And the guy goes, "Oh, well, are you interested in flying?" I go, "Yeah, I just started flying. I'm doing this, that, and the other thing." And the guy goes, "Well, you should join our club." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I really hadn't thought about joining a club, but I could see where that might be helpful." And the guy goes, "Well, what are you flying?" And I whip out my phone and I show him on my phone, "Oh, I'm making these little blue core planes, and I'm just kind of flying blah, 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 in back of my house or in the parking lot next to my house." And the guy's like, "Oh, well, da, 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 da. And when you get some real planes, you should come on out to our club and come fly with us."
Oh, wow. That's not cool.
So right there, you kind of can pick up on what I'm putting down. I was like, click.
The brakes went on.
Yeah. No, I'm not going out to your club. And
that's the kind of thing, that my club used to say to people probably.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because then he whipped out his phone. He's like, "Oh, yeah, this is what I have, and I have. Yeah, and when you get a plane like this, then come on out and blah, blah, blah." And I was just like, "Oh, okay.
This is my card and extra.
Yep.
Nah.
You can come out and fly with us.
So
That's
So
funny.
I was quite relieved for the club that I did join, because it was totally the opposite of that. The president at the time, I met him same place, met him somewhere, and we were talking about it. And then he was like, "Oh, we do this and we do this and we do this stuff for fun, and if you don't fly too well, don't worry about that. And if you're putting those foamies together, that's fantastic, because we're always doing fun things like that." Da 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 da. And I was like,
Right.
"Oh wow,
Yeah.
I think I'll join these guys," because they were into having fun. And as I learned, they broke off of the original club because those guys were so stuffy, and they started their own club. So anyway, just one of those things, just the group of people that approach you, and, that first impression can really kind of set up who you're hanging out with.
It's funny you mentioned that, because if you look right there, there's a stack of blue core foam. I still have a whole, I bought the whole fan fold. I mean, that thing's like 30 feet long if you probably cover the whole room. But that was a great time, and it wasn't like it wasn't real airplanes. It was just a great learning opportunity. For $20 or $30, you could put something together with some glue and some tape, and go out there, and it definitely would help out. And I'm actually really surprised that, I don't know if we were there at the same time, but I was in the Gilbert Quiet Flyers as well, and flying. So I can't believe that Shannon and we may or may not have crossed paths there at some point. But
I know we did.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty good. We had like a couple hundred members.
200.
It was just varied. What days of the week we flew.
Yeah.
So I think there's people I run across all the time in the valley. "Oh yeah, I used to fly with you, wherever, whatever field." And
Right.
I know we did. I just think we just didn't, click at the time.
Right.
I was with my group, you were with your
Yeah,
group.
that's probably true.
So.
Yeah, a real quick funny story before we start talking about the erratics is we were out there at that particular field one day, and it was early on a Sunday morning, like 5 a.m. I would go out early Sundays and fly just on my own, and I didn't have a generator or anything. We don't have any electricity out there, and so I used my truck battery to hook up and charge all my batteries. Jay remembers the story. And anyway, I was just flying. I mean, I was just one battery after another battery, and they're really small. They were only like 600 to, maybe I think I flew a 3300 milliamp one maybe or whatever. But I was charging, just flying, and it got to the point where in Arizona, after about 7 o'clock in the morning, it just gets 115 degrees outside. Everybody bails. And they just said, hey, lock up when you leave. And I said, Roger, and I'm out there flying. And I went to go charge my last battery, and it only charged about 50%. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And so anyway, I didn't think anything of it. And okay, well, that didn't charge very well. And so I decided to put everything away, got in the truck, click. And I had burned up the entire truck battery. And here I am in 104 degrees, and I'm by myself, and I'm thinking, oh, no. So I had to call and tell my wife, hey, can you bring some jumper cables and come up here? And she's like, I don't even know where you're at, because she didn't know where the field was. So I had to get her to come up and
was
jump
this at the original field?
Yeah, there and up at the rodeo grounds.
I'm pretty sure I remember you now, because you would come out really early.
I would, most of the time. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's just going to be there. We probably did.
Yeah.
But just kind of funny how long ago that was. Well, I have to thank Scott Berryman. He called me the other day and he said, "Hey, what's your address again?" And I was like, "That's weird.
What do you mean?
Why
you should know.
Why do you need my address? You sent me like 15 different things
to your house."
So I gave it to him, and he's like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And I was like, "All right, see you later," And I went on a trip. So the doorbell rings, the dogs go crazy. I realize it's the Amazon lady. I had ordered some stuff from Amazon. It's like Christmas every day at my house. But, I walk out there and she goes, "Oh, here you go." And I was like, "Okay, thank you. Have a good day." She goes, "Oh, I have one more." And I was like, "Oh, you do?" And she's like, "Yeah." So she brings me this box. It's like a coffin, as Jay calls it, it's coffin shit. And she's like holding it over her head. And this is a really tiny little girl that's driving this Amazon truck. And I'm thinking to myself, holy cow, that's a big box for her to be just holding it over her head, And it was real long. And so I was like, oh, here. I go, I don't think this is mine. Because I get a lot of Amazon packages from my neighbor's house, because on their GPS, my neighbor's close enough, or he sits just behind my house, so they see where the dot is and they drive into my driveway when it's actually really his house across the fence. And but it's close enough that, they see his place. And I go, yeah, I think this belongs to my neighbor. She goes, well, it has your name on it. And I was like, it does? And so I turn it over and I thought, okay, well, maybe. She goes, you don't even know what you ordered? I go, yeah, I don't know. You should see my Amazon delivers lady. I get stuff I forgot I ordered. And so anyway, I opened it. I kind of went in there and I asked my wife, I said, did you order this something from Amazon? She said, no. I was like, I wonder what this is. And I cut the thing open. As soon as I opened it, there's another box inside the big box that says, not this one, but there's a regular, cardboard box in there that says Horizon Hobby on it. So at that point, I was like, the light bulb came on and I thought, oh, the address, I know this has got to be from Scott. So I zipped it open and sure enough, it's this erratics. Now, I will tell you that Scott loves flying this thing. It is a flat foamy. It's very lightweight. It's got huge throws on it. It uses a 600 milliamp 3-cell. It comes literally ready to fly right out of the box. So this is one step above the UMX. As Jay would say, you shake the box and the whole airplane goes together. But the interesting thing about this one is the way it's put together. It is very, very amazing. So I open the box and the wings are in there, the tail section's in there, and the fuselage are in there. I pull the fuselage out, and the fuselage has two little plastic pieces where the wings go. And the wings, when you pull them out, have two little plastic pieces that fit inside each other. So the fuselage has the plastic and the wing has the plastic. So where it used to be that you had to glue all of the foam together, now it just goes on, and then there's a screw that goes through the top. So you probably can't see it, but on the edge, there's little plastic pieces that edge the foam. So when you come down and you scrape a wingtip or you cartwheel it or something, then you're hitting the plastic and not denting all of your foam, which is amazing. Now, he was telling me that he goes, feel free to fly that thing really low and crash it, because you literally, it just pulls out of the plastic piece. You stick the new piece in and you're going to go. He's like, you can just, get you a tube of foam tack and just go to town. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So it all snaps together. It's the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. I've never seen that before. Shannon might have seen it, but the fact that this slides together, it went together literally in about 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. And it has 4 screws in the wings, 2 screws in the tail. The tail works the same way. You slide it in, and it's got a little plastic piece that slides onto itself like a little sandwich, and you put the screw and it holds the 2 plastic pieces. So, if you need to take it off, you just undo the screw and pull it out. Now you can buy a whole new fuselage, or a whole new, not fuselage. You can buy the fuselage, but you can buy the tail section if you wrecked it, and then just slide it back in. But you're not tearing the foam. You're dinging the plastic will keep it from tearing. It comes with the motor already attached. The servo's already attached. It's got the clubbuses already there. They're made out of hard plastic as well. The landing gear are these really tiny carbon fiber square rods, and you slide them in, and then when they get up past the fuselage, they click into place. And so if you wanted to fly it with the gear, you could. If you wanted to fly it without the gear, you just unclick them, pull them out, and then go fly in the grass. It's truly amazing. I think the thing all up weight is probably a couple of grams, 19, 20, 23 grams or something like that. Super, super lightweight. It's got, all the Spectrum telemetry. And then I was so excited to put it together, and I got no batteries for it. So, so the downside to this, the downside to this is that it uses the Spectrum XT20 with the smart technology.
Oh, okay. So it's got those, yeah.
So there's now the airplane itself has the smart technology XT20 on it. So I have a 600 milliamp battery that I could get to fit, but because the smart technology uses a third pin in the center, I can't put it on the old battery because the batteries don't have the center hole.
Oh, the hole.
Right. So when I stick it together, it's like, okay, that's not going to work. Right. So I wound up actually, looked at buying the adapter for it. And then I thought, you know what? These batteries are only like 11 or 12 bucks each. So I just was like, crap, yeah. I'll just get some. So good news is they came in. Matter of fact, just before we did this podcast, the Amazon lady dropped off a box. So I haven't had a chance to maiden it yet, but I'm super excited about it. And I don't know if you guys, does anybody at the club have one of these, Shannon?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those out. There's a couple guys that have them, and I think we've seen it at some of the other events too. I've been to.
Yeah, they have them.
They're just a great, all-around fun airplane, and it's one of those you can throw in the back of your car, you can throw in the trunk, and just go fly it wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I love about the last couple of generations of Horizon planes, like even the 80 millimeter F4, my favorite of their planes, it's 6 screws,
right?
Right. That's it to put the plane. Maybe 7. Right. I think if it's 8, it's oh, I'm out.
Right.
but yeah, and everything just plugs in and you fly. It's that's what's so great about it. And the purists will say, oh, you didn't build that thing,
right?
Well, you don't have to build it.
Right. I didn't build it.
Just have some fun.
It.
Yeah.
Right. So
Horizon Hobby, assemble.
I know, right? So this is a close up. If you're on our YouTube channel, you can go check it out. But this is the little corner piece that protects it. You would think that that's just a little tiny piece, but if you rotate it over, you'll see how big of a plastic piece it really is.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty big plastic just on the
neat.
top. It just shows that little one. And then you can see right here where it connects these are the two connecting points. So you can see that you don't really glue it in between. You just attach it here. That's a plastic piece that joins together, and it's two plastic pieces that slide inside each other. And then here's a half moon part that you can see there, and really well done. You can see the plastic, hard plastic on the motor mounts, and then that's the gear that kind of slides in. On the bottom, you can see this is this is kind of cool too. This rod that goes through here, you would think is the actual spar, but it's not. It's a holder. It's basically glued into the foam. When you undo the wing, you slide this off. If you were to look inside this, there's another piece of carbon, a very small carbon rod that slides into this piece through the fuselage and into the other wing. So it is incredibly cool. And I will tell you, just based on real, the MXS that's made for full-scale aerobatics, that's what they do as well. They use a wing spar that's a carbon fiber box inside a box, and it's incredibly strong. So you can, whip this thing around. It's got really super light wing loading. It's got carbon fiber all through it, and it's just incredibly stiff, for a flat foamy. So I'm super excited to maiden it. You can probably see, I don't know if I can hold it here. You can probably see right here where it's kind of open. That's where that spar goes into. It slides into a box there, and then you actually slide it into that little piece in there. So it's doubled.
Oh, and that's where your battery goes to?
The battery goes on the side right here. It goes on the nose, and there's the connector for it there. So it just slides in there, but they have the Velcro and everything for it.
I was thinking they might put it back there in that box. That would have
been kind of cool too.
For protection.
It comes with an AR 630 Spectrum receiver on it, so you can just bind it. It's a bind and fly, and it's incredible. I'm super excited. Now the good news is it is also comes with safe technology and everything else. So that's it's good for even a beginner. You don't have to have the throws so high. You can, if you have a newer radio like the XT20, or not the XT, the IX20, I can just go into there and just click the button, and it's already there. So I can just load it up and
select the model.
Yep, select the model, and it's got everything in there, and just bind it. So I'm super excited. The batteries, like I said, just came in, so I am going to spark some of those up and try to go out and maiden it and try to test it out and see. And maybe when we talk again on our next podcast, and hopefully I will have flown it once or twice, and we'll see how it works. But
just careful with that term, sparking lipos.
That's true. Spark up the lipos. I gotta be good. Maybe I'll just use the term that I will just charge my lipos, and then we'll see how they go out. And then on a final note, I was able to, for those, I think in my head I was appreciative of, Scott buying this for me, because he's like, I just want you to go out there and have fun and be able to just step out in your yard, because I can fly this right off of my pool deck. I've got plenty of land out here, and so I can just kind of fly it around.
Put some.
I could. I fly it off the water. I could. So I was thinking about it, and he got me that, and I was like, oh, that's pretty exciting. Well, I fell into a deal and wound up buying the Aerofoam L39 turbine, and so I had a guy that wanted to get rid of his. It was used. He had, was getting a new airplane, and he wanted to kind of get rid of this one. And I was just like, I'm not really. And he's like, I'll give you a good deal on it, ready to fly. And so I started thinking about it, because I knew that you're trying to get a turbine, and you're going to need your turbine waiver. And I knew that Scott was trying to get his turbine waiver. And I thought, this is the same exact size that you had. And, what a better way to do it. So came with a new turbine, and I got it for a smoking deal. So, it's got wing bags and the Revox and everything on it. So now it's been a new addition to my fleet as well. So next time we get together there, Shannon, I've got a little turbine jet for you to go out and try. So,
wow.
So there we go.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
because I knew you were looking for one too, and I thought, between you and Scott, and I've flown this thing, half a dozen times anyway. So, but it's the same size as your 105 millimeter EDF. It looks a little different color, but it's the same. And so, we'll help you get your turbine waiver with this thing, and we'll put it together,
awesome.
and then we'll take it to Best in the West. If you guys actually wind up going, you guys can have a turbine to go fly out there. It'll be fun.
Sweet.
So
that's awesome, Mike. You rock.
I know, right?
You rock.
Yeah, and then when you
J rocks too.
yeah, J rocks too. Yeah, and then at least if Jay comes out, but
the Little Rocks.
Yeah, Little Rocks.
Yeah,
that's too funny. So, well, we're excited about the Erratix 3D flat foamy. We are excited about the new turbine coming out. I think Shannon's headed out of town today to go up to visit his daughter. I think that's where you're going.
I'm barely see her for like a day, and then I'm house sitting and dog sitting for my sister-in-law.
So he'll be
I'm going to try to sneak out to an RC field up there, and maybe I'll put a little something on our podcast listeners page.
I've done that before.
So he's headed out of town to go up to Washington, I think, right? Washington.
Yeah, Washington State,
and I'm actually headed out of town this week as well to go to California. We're going up to Napa, so it's a kind of a birthday party. But the guy that we're going up to see rented the whole vineyard, so we said sure, we'll go.
Nice, there you go. That's
I'm not going to turn that down.
Don't ask me. Yeah, don't ask me twice.
And then Jay is just going to stay home. He's not gonna
I'm just going to HEB. That's my big thing. I'm going to HEB
Jay's
this
gonna
weekend.
hold the fort down.
Yeah, Jay will be doing his own podcast next time around.
Fortress podcast. He's holding it down.
Exactly. That's funny. Well, I'm excited about going out to the club now. We just found out our Ramada is totally done, and they just redid all of the tables, so they all have new covering on them and new shelving. So I think I just got an email today this morning that they want some guys to come out and try to help paint the plywood underneath where the shelves are. So I think some guys are doing it this week. But I'm excited to see it. I haven't had a chance to go out there since the whole thing was completed. And I'm excited to see it. So maybe I'll get out there with somebody and call a couple of guys and say, hey, let's go check it out. So, but we are out of time. Our 30 minutes is up. We do appreciate you listening and joining us. And if you haven't looked into a club, don't let those guys beat up on you. I know we kind of talked about the club members saying when you get a real airplane or whatever, but that's just one guy. Take the opportunity. Don't let one guy ruin it for you. And get out there. There's plenty of the guys like us out there that would be more than willing to help you out and to talk to you and answer any questions or comments or help you fly or get your airplane set up. We'd love to do that. I mean, if you've come to the Arizona Electric Festival, or if, we've been to a couple other ones that, we're very, very easily accessible. I find myself talking to our audience members, quite a bit when we're at events. So answering questions or, helping them out with whatever questions they have. So other than that, make sure you get on our YouTube once again. Give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, like, and add some comments. Once again, we're going to ask you to throw some comments out there. We love to hear comments from you, good or bad. And if they're good, I'll take it. If they're bad, Shannon gets blamed. So there we go. But
probably.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All righty. Well, from Arizona, I'm Michael.
From the hills of Texas, I'm Jay.
And deep in Mesa, AZ, Shannon.
And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.